Hello and welcome everyone to another very interesting Lumen Live today. I'm Mia, joining you from Lumen HQ. Now, today's topic is, wow, it has made the headlines this year. We've seen it in the news. We've seen it all over social media. A lot of information floating around about this topic and a lot of confusion as well. What am I talking about? GLP-1 medications. Now, I'm joined today by our incredible co-founders, Drs. Michal and Merav Mor. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mia.
Now, Michal and Merav are going to answer some very important questions around GLP-1 medications. First of all, what are they? Also, though, we're going to dive deep into the lifestyle factors that are essential to build a long-lasting, successful weight loss journey. So we're going to dive into those lifestyle factors, but also mentioning how clinics around the world have incorporated Lumen into their weight loss programs with and without GLP-1 medications. So we've got a lot to cover. As a token of appreciation from all of us here at Lumen, thank you so much for tuning in today. And the community we have is unbelievable. So as an appreciation, a token of appreciation, we've got a special discount code, LIVE, L-I-V-E, that you can use today on our website to get 15% off your Lumen. So with the code LIVE. Now, I just want to mention quickly that this webinar is for informational purposes only and does not substitute for professional medical advice or medical diagnoses. Our services, including this webinar, are designed to be used only by healthy adults over the age of 16 that are not pregnant and subject to dietary restrictions or suffering from metabolic or respiratory conditions, okay? So Michal and Merav, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mia. And first, thank you the great community we have.
Yeah, they're amazing. Now, let's dive in. And I've got already a huge statistic to throw out there.
Let's.
1 in 8 US adults over the age of 18 have tried GLP-1 medications. 1 in 8.
It's crazy.
I didn't realize there were so many. Mm-hmm. Now, I think a lot of people are seeing their friends and families see success using these medications and losing weight, stabilizing their blood sugar levels. But I think a lot of them are considering using this medication or have been using them and don't really understand what is going on inside their body and don't really know what GLP-1 is. So I think this is a great starting point. What is GLP-1 medication and what is it doing inside our body?
It's a great start. Let's understand because what is it? Okay, first of all, it's a great medication. So GLP-1 actually part of a class of medication that primarily being used to treat type 2 diabetes and only recently being used to treat obesity.
Wow.
And it actually mimics a very natural hormone we have in our body, GLP-1. So it mimics this hormone, it releases from the gut following meals and help our body to regulate blood sugar level and appetite. You can maybe think of divide how exactly it works into 3. So first of all, what it does, it increases insulin secretion. Mm-hmm. So GLP-1 following meals helps our body to secrete more insulin. So it helps us to lower blood sugar level much more quickly. The second thing it does, it inhibits glucagon. What is a glucagon? Is actually a hormone that works on our liver and tells the liver to release a lot of this, because when it's like in the game. Okay, so it tells our liver to release store glucose when mainly on fasting and between meals. Mm-hmm. So GLP-1 inhibit the glucagon so that it helps our body to keep all the time low blood sugar level. And the third thing it does is slowing gastric emptying. So when we take GLP-1, food stay for longer in our gut. And then what we feel, we don't feel hunger. So we feel fuller for longer time. It will result in us just consuming much less calorie. And in time, it will help us in weight loss journey. So this is very, very in a simple way, what exactly GLP-1 and how it works. Just we need to remember that originally it was designed to help with type to diabetes and helping them to control blood sugar level.
Wow, so that's super interesting. You mentioned 3 physiological processes, just to recap: insulin secretion, glucagon inhibition, and then the slowing of the emptying of the gastric emptying.
Exactly.
It sounds like a perfect solution, like magic.
There's no perfect
There's
solution.
always a but
Mia.
there. There's always a but. Is it? Is it the perfect solution? Because it sounds like it.
I don't know if it is the perfect one. I can tell you that there is no, magic solution. You see that the statistics show that almost 30% of people who start to take GLP-1 quit after 3 months.
1/3.
Yes. 50% quit after 6 months. Now, why? Okay, there are several reasons. The main one is side effect. So particularly gastrointestinal issues like vomiting, diarrhea, nauseous. The second issue is, I believe, kind of set expectation.
Yeah.
Many of the people who turn to take GLP-1 take it because they want this medication to help them to lose weight. And then they expect to a very fast and dramatic result.
A magic pill.
A magic pill, but we need to remember, this is why I started with how it works. The drug, the weight helps us to lose weight is by a significant reduction in our appetite, and this actually causing us to consume less calories, and in time we will lose weight. So there's kind of a very high expectation from the drug, and then many times it doesn't meet the reality, and people find it very frustrating and stop taking it, and again add to it the symptoms, the side effects that they experience. Sorry, there's 2 more, I think, issues that we need to talk about. It's considered to be a very new drug. So there all the time come like new evidence from the field. One of the issues is that we tend to see a very drastic reduction in lean body mass when people take the GLP-1. Around 40%. It is a lot. When you compare it to, and like usually what we expect to see is like between 20 to 25% lean body mass reduction in a healthy, I did like this again.
You did like this again. I like it.
You're not using it in the right sentences. And so this is also something we need to remember. And I think that Michali will speak later about the importance of the lean body mass in maintaining weight loss and metabolic health. And last, I think we need to remember that, again, you see that people who stop taking GLP-1, you see many times they regain the weight. Why? Okay, and this is, I think, if you are not doing a real change in your lifestyle, then the moment you stop taking this drug, everything again goes back to what it used to be. And then you find people is very frustrating. They put so much, forget about the cost. I'm not going to talk about the cost of this drug, but they put so many effort and money. And when they stop taking the drug, everything goes back to what it was.
And you shared with me the statistic around that. I think you mentioned 2/3, am I right? 2/3 of people who've used GLP-1 medication, stopped it, piled on all that weight back, 2/3. That's very upsetting. I mean, as mentioned, it's time, effort, and money put into this journey with this drug. And then as soon as they stop, 2/3 of people put the weight back on. And we see this with yo-yo dieting.
We see that. And again, I have to say, like, I understand the frustration, but when we are looking at that, we shouldn't really have that big a surprise, because let's stop for a moment and look a bit deeper on the people that take GLP-1.
Yeah.
GLP-1 is probably not the first solution they tried in order to achieve their goals. They probably, they are struggling with achieving their goals for years. They tested many diets and program, and they keep failing. I mean, they might achieve a short-term weight loss, but it's not sustainable. And the sad thing of that yo-yo, as you said, right? This cycling of losing weight, gain back, losing weight, gain back, is this frustration and this, they blaming themselves. And they think that it's all about that they don't have enough willpower, which the truth is that there is something inside their body that is holding them back from achieving a long-term results. And that something is their metabolism. It's their body engine that is not working properly. Now, as long as this is the case, they will keep struggling, and this yo-yo will keep going. Now, the good news is that our metabolism is under our control, right? We spoke about it in the previous live sessions.
Yep.
Our action under the 4 lifestyle elements, nutrition, movement, sleep, and mind, can impact our metabolism. We have the power to heal our metabolism and to achieve a long-term results. So if I'm going back to the statistic of GLP-1, yes, GLP-1 can be a great solution, but you need to incorporate it with smart changes in your lifestyle in order to improve your body engine, your metabolism, and by that really achieve a long-term results.
Now, a lot of our viewers are watching from our own community and have a Lumen. And for anyone who's joining us and you've got your Lumen, you've actually basically become your own metabolic coaches. So you're going to understand the importance around metabolism, metabolic flexibility. But Michal and Merav, there's a lot of people joining us that have never used a Lumen, don't really understand what metabolism is. And you know, it's still a topic that people are a bit confused about. So I think you mentioned it now. If you can just go into a little bit more detail about what is metabolism and why is it so important on a weight management journey?
Sure. So metabolism is it's a very big word that basically means...
Sounds scary.
Sounds scary, but it represents our body engine.
Yeah.
So as an engine, our body, our metabolism, use fuel, fat or carbs in order to produce energy. Now, a healthy metabolism is a flexible one. Means it can use both type of fuel and to switch between them very easily. Now, when I'm saying it can switch, who is it? Who is it?
The mitochondria.
Who is doing the work? Yes.
Yeah.
Here we have our hero, which is our mitochondria.
I did a spoiler. I said mitochondria before you presented the hero.
And the hero, the mitochondria, is also another scary word, I feel like, for some people. Mitochondria.
It's a little organ that sits inside our cells like a powerhouse that take fuel, carbs or fat, burn it with oxygen, and produce the energy that we need, from our heartbeats to brainwave, to muscle contraction, and to recovery. Now, as long as our mitochondria is healthy, our metabolism will be healthy, and we will achieve a long-term results. Now, what is a healthy mitochondria? So, mitochondria is healthy when it's use fat, when we have low fuel availability and low energy demand. For example, when we wake up in the morning after an overnight fast, or when we are taking a walk to the office, or when we even sit next to our deck at the office between meals. In all of those scenarios, a healthy mitochondria will tap into our fat stores and will use it in order to produce energy. So you understand, then we are becoming like a fat burn machine.
Yeah.
This enables us it enables us not to be in a restrictive caloric deficit in order to lose weight and maintain weight, which is not sustainable. It also allows us to have that stable energy during the day. We're not going to have those drop in energy that, lead us and push us to have those craving and to eat much more than we need. It also we will have the energy to be naturally much more active during the day. We're not going to feel this tiredness all the time. So this is one aspect of a healthy mitochondria.
I particularly like what you said about sitting at the desk and burning fat by just sitting. I think that sounds great.
I'd like to do that.
Now you want to sit more.
Yeah, now I want to sit more.
Even during the night, a healthy mitochondria will tap into our fat stores and we will burn fat during the night. But it's very important to say that a healthy mitochondria is not only about burning fat. A healthy mitochondria should also know to switch into burn carbs. When we should expect that? When there is high energy availability, high fuel availability, and high energy demand. For example, after eating. So after a meal, for example, a healthy mitochondria will use the food, will produce energy from it instead of storing it as fat. So you understand that in that way, we don't need to restrict ourselves all the time. We can enjoy food. We can enjoy carbs without risking in weight gain so easily.
And we see it in our data, you see the connection between metabolism, response to meals, and BMI. So what we show, I think it was like last year, we just published a study done on thousands of Lumen users. And you see that when you analyze post-meal metabolic measurement, okay, and you want to see if the response to meal is different and depend on the BMI, you see that healthy BMI users tend to have a strong shift toward carbs oxidation. What it actually means is that they are able to take the food they just consumed and immediately produce energy out of it. Versus users with high BMI, okay, they have a lower shift toward carbs oxidation. So it actually means they find it more difficult to take the food they just consume and produce energy out of it. So then it means that glucose will stay longer in their bloodstream. And over time, they might develop insulin resistance. So you see how the metabolic flexibility connects, strongly associates to BMI and weight goals.
So just recapping that, so from the data we've seen, from the study we published, that those who have a healthy BMI shift into using their carbs much more efficiently when needed, compared to individuals who are, towards obese category.
Following meals.
They're going to be much less efficient at tapping into the carbs. So it goes back to the metabolic flexibility that you mentioned, which is efficiently switching between carbs and fats when you need to, right?
Exactly.
You see, by the way, the opposite in fasting scenario, right? A healthy BMI, users with a healthy BMI will wake up much more relying on his fat stores versus user with high BMI. So as Michal mentioned, in morning, while following an overnight fast, a healthy mitochondria will rely more on fat stores versus carbohydrate.
And this ability to Lumen, which basically enable users to see what their mitochondria is using for energy in real time, get that recommendation and see the impact of the recommendation on their body, improving their body engine, being able to achieve a long-term results. This is the vision that Meravi and I had almost more than 10 years ago when we founded Lumen, and bringing that unique data point to the day-to-day life.
No, it's very empowering for that individual on a Lumen journey and seeing their data and knowing exactly what they need to do for the first time in their life. It's not the yo-yo dieting, which you're in the dark, you're guessing your way through it. And some diets don't work for some people, but they work for others. So it's great. I mean, it's so nice to see within our own community how people have improved their metabolic flexibility through the guidance of their Lumen. It's
And each one of us, because our metabolism is so unique, the impact will be completely different. For you, might help different strategies. For example, I don't know, low fat, and for me, I'm gonna benefit from carb cycling, and for Meravi, intermediate fasting. So
it also, I think, not only depends on who we are, but even if it is a specific day. Again, I don't want to go into it, but if you see, for example, monthly cycle, also, the nutrition should also be adjusted to the phase in our monthly cycle. And the workout that we do. So it's not only for Merav it is good. For Merav it is good for today, for now. It's so complicated, but the moment you're able to measure like the end of the funnel, the metabolism, and then to see what the things that you've done and how it's affected it, and then you can take smarter decision, impactful one.
It's empowering.
Empowering. I think this is what I think when we founded Lumen, this is what we want our user to feel, empowered.
And it's not a magic solution. Lumen is not a magic solution.
Nothing is.
Nothing is.
Not even GLP-1 medication.
Please don't tell it to my
identified.
kids, so they still believe in magic and stuff.
So you mentioned the metabolism. You mentioned the data showing how important metabolic flexibility is. I think this is a good place to now discuss what someone watching now, what are the key lifestyle habits that they can incorporate today on their journey with GLP-1 medication or without it as well? Because I feel, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel these lifestyle habits that are key for anyone on this medication is also key for anyone who's not on this medication.
Agree yet? Sorry, go ahead.
You know, Mia, that I can't give you, a one-size-fits-all recommendation.
No, I know you can't. We don't have that many hours. We're only here a few more minutes, so we could.
But also, it's important to understand that there are so many strategies that we can do in order to improve our mitochondria, healing our metabolism, and ensure a long-term results. But ultimately, all the strategies that we will do narrow down and impact our mitochondria through 6 mediators, like a metabolic pathway. And as long as those mediators are in balance, our mitochondria will be healthy and therefore also our metabolism. Now, I won't gonna dive into all the 6, but let's focus on the 2 that are more relevant for when we are taking GLP-1. And those are muscle mass and insulin sensitivity.
2 big mediators.
2 big mediators.
Okay, so let's start with the muscle mass.
Let's start with the muscle mass. I like the muscle mass.
This is my favorite one. Okay, so this is what people need to focus on, right? When they're taking this medication.
We need to make sure our muscle mass is checked. Now, let's double down on that. Muscles, okay? Our muscles are packed with mitochondria. So as I mentioned before, right, more muscles means more mitochondria. More mitochondria means I'm much more fat-burning machine. So no more restrictive diet, no more energy drop, no more craving, and no more tiredness. Now, when we are taking GLP-1, if I'm going back to what Merav explained of how this drug is working, this drug is basically decrease our appetite. So we need to make sure that although our appetite is decreased, we're consuming enough protein in order to support our muscles and avoid muscle breakdown. Because when our muscles will break down, they will take the mitochondria with them. Less mitochondria.
I have to share with Mia and the community a joke with you just before this podcast. I said to Michal, I want to count how many times she said the word mitochondria in this session.
Well, we love this word at Lumen.
I counted 22 until now.
I will not stop until everyone in the world will wake up in the morning and will think to himself, wow,
what about my mitochondria?
What is the status of my mitochondria? I need to put a lot of effort in order to have a lot of mitochondria, strong
24.
mitochondria, healthy mitochondria, 25.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
But you picked on a topic. I feel like I've seen on the news recently how everyone's starting to talk about not eating enough protein while they're taking this medication, losing muscle. So this is actually one of these risk factors, I feel, that we're also tackling now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, for those that don't have Lumen, what you can do in order to make sure, yes, that you preserve your muscles. First of all, you need to be kind to your muscles. So incorporate a resistance training as part of your routine and make sure that you're having enough protein and carbs in order to support them. For those who have Lumen, by taking the wake-up breath, we'll provide you with a daily nutrition plan that basically already take into consideration your personal info and your activity level. And even when you are taking GLP-1, we are adjusting the plan and provide you with a daily nutrition plan that contains the amount of carbs, protein, and fat. Now, For those, just very important to say, it's important for the users to report that they are under GLP-1. So this is something that they can do under the setting where there is a personal info and medical condition. Just make sure.
Make sure you set that for anyone listening and who hasn't done that. Do that, because that will adjust, as you said, the nutrition plan even more.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
Another thing that for those who have Lumen, it's important to incorporate is the pre-workout breath in order to make sure that you have enough energy in order to succeed with your workout. So if you don't have enough energy and you will do an intense workout, you are risking in muscle breakdown, less muscles, less mitochondria. You're not going to achieve your weight loss goal.
And we're not talking, when you say exercise, incorporate exercise, I feel like this also scares some people, okay? We're not talking about following a bodybuilding plan.
No.
We're talking about getting enough steps into the day, walking to work and still driving.
Resistance
training.
Resistance training.
Especially here, it's important to incorporate a resistance training.
So some strength training a week, a couple of times a week, if someone can do that.
Sorry, again?
A couple of times a week.
Yes, even 1 time per week, 2 times per week, 3 times. I mean, it's not, there is no minimum that you should do. Just start by doing. Why I'm saying here we are more talking about resistance training and not
lifting
movement
weights.
in general, because our muscles need to feel that we need them. They need to work harder.
You stress them a little bit.
Exactly.
So strength training with weights or even body weight.
Yeah,
for
even
anyone who
body
doesn't have
weight.
equipment. Okay.
Home is also fine.
So weightlifting.
For example, increase the amount of steps. This is something that will help us with the insulin sensitivity, and we will tap on that as well.
So that's the second mediator.
That's the second mediator.
Let's do it. Let's hear about it. Come on. I'm ready.
Insulin sensitivity. So insulin is a hormone that regulates our blood glucose level. So imagine, right? You imagine?
Yep.
You are now after a meal and the food is absorbed from your digestive system into the blood. There is increase in your blood glucose level. Now there is a release of insulin that basically open the gate on the cells and allow sugar insert from the blood into the cells to be used by the mitochondria for energy. So when we are more insulin sensitive, all what I just described will happen much more smoothly, meaning that after we eat it, for example, the mitochondria will use it in order to produce energy and will not store this as body fat. But when we are less insulin sensitive, so all what I just described will happen not that smoothly. It means that we will experience high blood glucose. High blood glucose, it's toxic. So our body will do whatever he can in order to get rid of it, meaning he will take it and he will store this as body fat.
Right.
And here we will gain fat much more easily from everything that we will eat. So the things that we can do here in order to become more insulin sensitive are everything that we can do in order to minimize the spike of glucose in the blood. So it can be low carb. It can be minimize simple carbs, focus on complex carbs. It can be when we are eating carbs, add to the meal vegetables, protein, fat, in order to slow the absorption of the food from the gut into the blood. Another thing that you can do is to help the insulin do his job. So things like walking, even, short walk, easy walk, will open the gate on the cells and will allow sugar to insert from the blood into the cells to be used by the mitochondria without insulin. So
it's like a bypass.
It's like a bypass.
Wow. So I had this revelation now. If we gain a bit extra muscle on the body, okay, we've done our strength training, we've got a little bit more. So more muscle means more mitochondria.
Yeah.
More mitochondria means we're burning more carbs and more fat. So it's a real win-win.
It's a win-win.
And that's why we go back to what you mentioned earlier, is that we can just sit. And if we've got more muscle and more healthy mitochondria, we're burning more calories anyway. without even having to do anything because our metabolism's in check.
Mm-hmm. You got it, Mia. I'm proud.
Now, I liked what you mentioned earlier as well, Michal, about how and I think we've all been in the situation where we've blamed our lack of willpower. And what you both mentioned is actually, yeah, that could be the reason why we failed on this diet that didn't work for us. Or perhaps when we come off GLP-1 medication, the weight comes back on and we blame something about what we've done, our mindset. But it's the cellular processes that are really crucial. I think we overlook how important these cells in our body are. So I feel like it's like we need to shift our perspective a little bit. Mm-hmm. And really look at it as a total transformation, total body transformation. Now, I want to go back to the clinics. Now, we've got a lot of clinics around the world that have partnered with Lumen, who've incorporated Lumen and the guidance that this device offers in changing lifestyle habits. Can you tell us more about how clinics have incorporated Lumen and what are the results? What have they seen by incorporating Lumen into their weight loss programs?
Sorry?
Sure, I said sure.
Who's going to answer me? He's tackling this one.
No, I'll take this one. No, sure. So, yeah, Lumen works with, I think, hundreds of clinics, that like weight loss clinics that prescribe and not necessarily prescribe GLP-1 as part of the programs. So the fact that their patient actually get the three things. Michal mentioned it, I think, before. One, the patient gets the ability to measure in real time metabolic measurement. Second, they get really personalized and actionable recommendation in the 4 lifestyle elements: nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress. And the patient able to see what in these 4 lifestyle elements really impact his metabolism. And the third thing he gets is weekly metabolic assessment. So it enables him to see whether he's in the right direction toward his goal. So eventually you get a patient that is very engaged with his health due to what I just mentioned. Now comes the physician. What the physician gets, he gets access to this incredible and unique data that I mentioned: the metabolic measurement, the 4 lifestyle elements of the patient regarding the status and the progress of
and what
it.
is working and what's not.
Working and less working for this specific patient, and actually a status of the metabolic progress the patient did. And based on it, he actually can, one, have a remote engagement with his patient, which is huge, because currently it seems like the visiting the health. There's a sentence saying health is actually what happens between you visiting the doctor, like the doctor visits. Right, you visit the doctor once a quarter in the best scenario. Usually it takes you once a year. So in between what happens, then health happens. So it enables the physician all the time to be engaged with his patient remotely. The second thing that actually the physician gets, it enables him in these one-on-one meetings to be much more concrete with his advice to his patient. He can be much more supportive. He can tailor his program in a much more individual way. And eventually, the bottom line, he gets a patient that is much more engaged with his health and will stay longer in the program. So it's a win-win situation. And I can share with you, just a little bit about the feedback from the physician, that this is really a life-changing for them. And from one hand, they really want the success of their patient, but it is difficult, because of the setup, because they see their patients once in X month in the best scenario.
Wow. So the clinician gets the data that enables them to then tailor the program even more to that patient, and the patient feels empowered because they're getting this data and they're starting to understand what their body needs. So it's a win-win there as well.
Yes, and they can also, be engaged remotely with their patient. We can get them, for example, they get alert if the patient doesn't take, for example, don't take a lot of measurement or is less engaged, and then they can also be proactive and reach out if they like. So it's very, I think, exciting.
It's inspiring.
Pathway that Lumen walk. Really to help health, I don't know how to say it, כאילו לתמוך, to support
healthcare.
Yes.
But it's inspiring because it goes back to what you mentioned about metabolism, is that individuals or clinicians helping individuals treat the root cause.
Exactly.
And that's why they're seeing long-term success, because they're treating the root cause now.
And for many years, science and also physicians understand that our body engine, our metabolism, this is the root cause. But before Lumen, they didn't have that measurement. They didn't have the tool in order to really help their patient to manage it. So when you cannot measure something, you cannot really manage it. So that enable now for the physician that uniqueness of data that's really helping them to better help their patient.
So not only for the clinicians, but also for the individuals.
Exactly.
All this is actually helping them create an actionable, excellent plan, getting off GLP-1 with something that, is going to work for them. Because that's where we went back to that terrible statistic that we mentioned, 2/3 of people pile on the weight after they finish the medication. But if you start to then...
If you incorporate,
and focus on your metabolism, that's an actionable exit plan for GLP-1.
And make sure that you're going to enjoy a long-term results and not a short-term, as you see the numbers are starting to show that.
Yeah. Now, we've got a few questions that have come in while we've been talking from our community. Are you ready to answer a couple?
I like questions.
I'm putting you on the spot here. Okay, so the first one is from Chris. Now he writes, I'm interested in knowing if one can be on these meds short term to lose weight and then keep it off after you get off GLP-1. Chris, you're in luck because this entire talk answers this question. Michal and Merav mentioned earlier about the importance of focusing on mitochondrial health, your metabolism, how to become fat-burning machines, I quote you there, even when you're sitting. So it's all down to lifestyle, it's down to holistic viewpoint on how you're incorporating these factors in, the risks as well, how to mitigate them. That is going to help you create that long-term success after you finish being on these meds. So Chris, rewatch. Michal and Merav described all that. The second question is from Catherine. So she's interested in hearing how users can mimic the blood sugar regulation effect of the drugs with other methods. So
again, sorry?
So anyone who's not using GLP-1, but they want to experience the same benefits of regulating the blood sugar levels that the GLP-1 crowd are seeing, what other methods are there out there?
So I think we covered that when
we did as well.
When we spoke about the insulin sensitivity. So in your things under your diet that you can do is to avoid or to minimize simple carbs, to focus on complex carbs, add vegetables, protein and fat to your meals in order to slow the absorption rate. Things like walking, move more. It doesn't have to be an exercise. No. It can be just naturally be more active during the day. That by itself will open the gate on the cells and will help the insulin to do his job. Another thing that we should maybe put attention is to make sure that we are having enough sleep, because this is also has a huge impact on the insulin sensitivity. So maybe this is something that we didn't mention before and it's worth mentioning.
This could be a future Lumen Live. We've covered some very interesting topics, by the way. For anyone who's joining us for the very first time, we've done Lumen Lives in the past, and they've been incredible. So definitely we've touched on women's health, and a lot, and the morning measurement, the wake up breath we covered as well recently. So definitely,
I loved it.
yes,
The wake up breath.
That was
This is
the wake
your
up breath.
favorite
That
one.
was a great one, and you can find all our previous Lumen Lives on our Facebook and our YouTube channel as well. So great. So basically, just recapping for Catherine, 4 lifestyle elements that you mentioned. Ideally, we should be focusing on nutrition, movement, stress, and sleep. Slow absorption carbohydrates, for example, with the nutrition, movement, getting the steps in, that will help our insulin. It's a great place to start, even just one of those, you know. Next question from Hafiz. GLP-1 enhances...
I'm curious.
Yeah. I think I understand this question. I'm hoping you are. You're going to. GLP-1 enhances insulin secretion, which Merav mentioned earlier.
Agree.
But why doesn't this lead to insulin resistance?
This is a good one. So again, if you're not gonna make smarter decisions around your diet and around your movement, so eventually it will cause insulin resistance at the moment that you will stop taking the drug, because you're not really improving your insulin sensitivity. It's just like a bend, like a short-term solution. But eventually, in order to make a long-term solution, you really need to make a real change that will improve your insulin sensitivity. Did I answer your question?
I think you did.
Anything to add?
No, I was thinking.
We have one more question. Jody asks, very interested to know just how much people lose in lean mass, body mass. I do know if you go off it post-menopause, it is very difficult to gain lean mass. So, great question, Jody.
We touched it a little bit, like by using GLP-1, because there's a significant reduction in appetite, and then we do not eat enough. So we really starve our body, and then we lose a lot of lean body mass, around like the 40% versus 20-25 without the GLP-1. And this is something we need to take care of, and as Michal mentioned, to make sure we eat enough protein and incorporate resistance exercise in this journey.
And during menopause, we are even much more sensitive to muscle breakdown. So here, the risk of muscle breakdown is even higher when women in menopause also taking GLP-1. So double make sure you incorporate a resistance training and make sure that you're having enough protein in order to support your muscle.
Yeah, we had, I think the previous session was about menopause. The first one, menopause, and how exactly really it's affect our metabolism and might cause to metabolically inflexible. And we need to be very, very cautious in this period specifically.
So Jody, check out that Lumen Live that Michal and Merav did on women's health. That was a very good one, actually. We did that a few months ago. Now, we could talk for absolute hours, the three of us.
No more questions.
But we've got no more questions. And we've run out of time.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's the last bit. A quick recap. I feel like I need to do a recap of everything you've just mentioned.
Go ahead.
So you explained the importance of our mitochondrial health, our metabolism. Basically, that is the underlying, that's the basis, right? We need to improve that. Then with the GLP-1 medication, we'll see longer term success if the metabolism is in check, right? Now, you mentioned some important lifestyle habits that can be incorporated today to build the muscle mass, to also help with the insulin sensitivity. Merav, you mentioned what GLP-1 is with the physiological processes, which was great. Again, quick mention again, the Lumen Lives can be found on our Facebook and YouTube channel. I want to thank you both for joining today.
Thank you.
This was great.
It was so much fun.
And it went quickly. I'm sorry we can't answer any more questions. And again, as I mentioned earlier, just a big thank you to all of you tuning in. We have that special discount code LIVE, L-I-V-E, for 15% off. So head to our website, snap up that deal while it's still live. And also don't forget to fill out the feedback survey after this, because we take your feedback on board and we are creating these Lumen Lives accordingly to what you want to see and hear about. So please fill out that. From us all here at Lumen, goodbye and have a lovely, lovely day. And thank you for tuning in.
Happy mitochondria for all of us.
Happy mitochondria for all of us.
Thank you, Mia.
Thank you. Bye, Ron.